My beloved child, in the past I have whispered to you softly, during times when my presence touched your heart so delicately that you may have missed it if you weren't paying attention. During those times I thought you would listen to me. However, you made the decision to let the world's cacophony overpower you. Still, I waited, watched, called, and longed for you to realize that every internal stirring you experienced was more than just emotion. It was my spirit beckoning you nearer. But you kept telling yourself that you would reply later, as though that later was inevitable, as though you would always be the first to view the next sunrise. Now listen to me. This time is different from the others, because the window that has been available to you is closing. Furthermore, I cannot postpone what I am saying. I am not saying this to soothe your mind, but rather to stir you from the distraction-induced slumber that has encircled your spirit. If you believe these words are only inspirational, you are unaware of the seriousness of the situation. I'm not raising my voice in haste without cause. I have a reason for pounding on your spirit. I have nothing else to do. I won't be interfering with your day. I speak because I see things that you do not. Long before you feel ready, I hear the footfall of things that are coming, which will require your decision. If you do not grasp my hand right now, you will be pulled into currents that you cannot battle on your own. I have covered you in previous seasons, even if you did not thank me. Before you even realized they were approaching, I diverted threats from your way. It has been me who stood between you and the enemy's planned downfall. However, I will not compel you to stay under my cover if you keep straying near the edge, because my covering depends on your compliance. Each time you disregard my prompting, you move closer to the point where your decisions must take precedence over my intervention. In truth, you have sensed this moment developing for a while. Every restless night you had, every sudden tear that came to your eyes as you considered your future, every unpleasant feeling when you nearly took a wrong turn, that was my warning to you. Yet, as life slows down, you keep telling yourself that you will change when everything feels more steady and the time is perfect. But I am warning you now, with all the urgency of heaven, if you continue to wait for the right circumstances, that time will never arrive. For obedience is not born out of ideal circumstances. It is faith. And faith does not wait for everything to align. When the Lord's voice commands us to move, faith moves. Even if it is costly, inconvenient, or like venturing into the unknown, it is still worth it. I have already prepared what you need and gone ahead of you. However, I will not drag you kicking and screaming into your destiny. For what I am willingly giving you, I will not fight you over. I will not compete with the diversions you choose to maintain in your life. But if you turn to me completely right now without hiding that last part of yourself, you will see doors open so abruptly that you will stand in awe, and so will those who doubted, and you will know that it was my timing, not yours, nor your cleverness or power. This is not a casual invitation. This is a summons, the kind of moment that determines the trajectory of future years. There is no middle ground at this point, where the trail splits. Even my mercy has its seasons, and for this particular calling, that season is coming to an end. So listen to me. If you think you have endless time, don't wait another second. The moment when this offer will be taken from your table is already approaching, though you cannot yet see it. My child, if these words have made your heart feel my presence, hold them gently in your heart. To show your faith in me, click the Super Thanks button. Your super thanks is more than just a gift. It is a declaration that you trust in my provision, and that you will help spread my word to those who are lost and searching. It is not that I do not love you. Rather, I want you to be part of my predetermined plan, a plan that will proceed whether or not you are involved. But before the opportunity is gone forever, you must act. You have occasionally come close to me, tasting the sweetness of my peace and the warmth of my presence. But when the gusts of distraction have blown stronger, I have seen you sway. When the clamor of voices around you has drowned out the silence we used to share, I have seen you wander. Every step you take away from me makes it harder for you to see clearly, making my path appear vague and uncertain. Yet it has never shifted. It remains exactly where I placed it, unchanging, undimmed, unmoved. It is your attention that has strayed, as you allowed distractions to claim the space in your heart that belongs only to me. Split devotion is no devotion at all, because I do not take second place. Each time you allow worldly concerns to direct your choices, you deepen the fog where the enemy waits to entice you with comfort over surrender. But comfort without me is a slow poison. It numbs you until you forget the beauty of sacrifice for something greater than survival. You were not meant to live half awake. You were never meant to only look back at me when something goes wrong. I have called you to walk close enough that my heartbeat directs your steps, my voice steady and unmistakable, not distant or confused with another. And yet you keep listening to the chatter of opinions, fears, and fleeting pleasures. But instead of filling you, they only increase the distance between us. My love never fades, but your will does not automatically align with mine. You must choose it intentionally. Every time you look away, you invite indecision. Indecision leads to delay. Delay becomes disobedience, and every step away from obedience dulls your ears to my prompting. One day you will wonder why you do not hear me clearly anymore. It will be because you stopped listening, not because I stopped speaking. Therefore I urge you, come closer, closer than you have ever been, not halfway, not when it is convenient. Prayer must be steady, unshaken by time, people, or hardship, not just reserved for seasons of crisis. You have tasted both the joy of walking with me and the emptiness of wandering without me. You know which one brings life, so why choose the dry path when living water is before you? I am not calling you into the unknown, my dear. I am calling you home, where your soul was always meant to dwell, where your heartbeat syncs perfectly with mine. But you cannot grasp both my hand and the world's hand. You will be torn apart. Release what you cling to. Abandon what you have exalted above me. Break the agreements you made out of fear, for I will never be the one to let go. Yet the longer you resist, the greater the strain on your spirit, and the fall will be harder when the tension finally snaps. Listen to me while there is still time. Our distance is not permanent. If you turn to me now, it can disappear in an instant. If you do, I will restore intimacy to you. I will flood your soul with such light that all darkness will flee. But you must decide before time runs out and the world's pull drowns my voice in your heart. The door before you is still open, but it will not remain forever. It is not an ornament to admire from afar, but an opening I have prepared through every season of your life. But it will not wait endlessly for you. It requires your movement. If you pause for too long, the opportunity will pass to another. I do not tell you this to scare you, but to awaken you. There are limits to divine invitations. They must be answered in the moment they are given. The enemy's lie is that you have unlimited time to keep wandering, that the door will always be there. But hesitate too long, and you will find only a wall where once there was a gate. Right now, your name is inscribed on the frame of this door. This moment aligns with the desires and prayers you have carried secretly for years. I have not forgotten those burdens. You have been prepared, refined, and made ready to step into the assignment that will unite your longings with my purpose. But I cannot force you across the threshold. Your will must meet mine. If you linger outside too long, uncertainty will cloud your confidence until you even forget why you once wanted to enter. That is why I press on you now. I know the enemy schemes to distract you until the precise moment passes. So hear me plainly. This is the time to act. Not when you feel organized, not when life feels stable, not when danger seems distant. Now, the grace for this doorway is for this moment. If you wait, the way is still possible, but it will be harder, heavier, and slower. And one day you will look back and wish you had walked forward when the path was clear. When you move in my timing, it is wind at your back. If you wait outside of it, you will face resistance you were never meant to encounter. This is more than about your personal blessing. It is about aligning yourself with my will, about being in position to witness breakthroughs that extend far beyond you. Your obedience is the final spark needed to ignite a chain reaction of change and release. If you say no, the current shifts elsewhere. But I desire that the flow moves through you. There is joy reserved for those who say yes in faith and enter through the door prepared for them. I long for you to taste that joy, to live in the peace of knowing you chose rightly at the crossroads. But if you remain where you are, treating the doorway like scenery, you will never step into it. You cannot take a picture of this moment. The hinges will not turn indefinitely, and it is a path to travel through. Now, as my message is clear and the light from within spills out into your road, take a step forward. My presence is electrified in the air because the sound will diminish as the close starts. You will need to sprint harder to catch what is already going forward without you as the glow fades. Furthermore, I don't want you to be pursuing anything that you might have avoided by just putting your trust in me at this point. You couldn't ignore the confirmations I've been sending you, incorporating them into your daily routine so that they would find you even if you weren't looking for them. Reminders are inserted into discussions, strangers' remarks, and the patterns of events that transpired with too much accuracy to be coincidental. Nevertheless, you have permitted yourself to disregard them as odd happenings rather than divine guidance each time, promising yourself that you will consider them later. However, later has turned into a hiding place where your obedience is continually delayed. And without giving you another warning, I won't let you continue in that circle. These indicators were not intended to amuse you or evoke fleeting feelings. They were meant to spur you to action, eliminate all justifications for waiting, and make it obvious that I am the one making the call. Yet I have seen you doubt my timing, while ignoring the fact that I have been laying out the route in detail. Your hesitancy is not due to a lack of proof. You're afraid of losing control if you let go of what I am asking you to leave behind. However, you fail to realize that holding on to what I'm taking away will simply make your hands too full to accept what I'm offering. I have been patient, speaking in various tones, conveying my message through multiple channels, and presenting my truth to you at unexpected times. Even so, you leave with the burden of not having yet been lifted from your soul. The truth is that delay is a thief masquerading as caution, taking days from you that you can never get back, and erasing the edge of readiness you previously possessed. If you let it remain, it will sap your heart's urgency until the moment loses its significance. By then, the situation will have changed, and you will look back and realize that you allowed the very thing you prayed for to pass you by while you lingered in doubt. That is why I am now addressing you bluntly, for kindness has already been shown. Now is the moment to make a choice. You are standing in the middle of the response you have been requesting from me, yet you are treating it like a question. Each day you hesitate, the enemy makes progress in weakening your faith. Failure to act will become evidence in your mind that I never spoke to you, and when I speak again, you will lack the confidence to respond. I will cut through the clutter and tell you directly. You will not receive any clearer confirmation than what I have already provided. The push on your heart right now is the strongest one you will ever feel. Since obedience comes before clarity, you won't have the luxury of waiting for full comprehension before acting. If you insist on seeing the entire road before taking the first step, you will never begin at all. I am not calling you to walk by sight, but to walk by trust. Trust is not built on safe distances and theories. It grows as you move forward on my word alone, without outward assurances, relying only on the faithfulness of the one calling you. That is why I have been repeating myself. I love you too much to let you miss this moment in silence, not because I doubt, but because I want you to awaken. So I speak again, louder than the voices that cause you to hesitate, dispersing every doubt and excuse, calling you to move immediately. For the season of confirmation is ended, and the season of action has begun. If you do not seize this opportunity, it will be taken from you, and you will see from a distance what could have been yours had you trusted enough to answer. There have been times when you felt the weight of my presence pressing upon your heart, when you knew I was close and speaking. Yet you ignored it, telling yourself it was not the right moment and that you would respond later. But each time you silence that stirring, you train your heart to reject the voice that gives you life. Disregarding my spirit repeatedly carries a price. Gentle resistance can harden into an immovable barrier. The loudest call will sound faint to ears dulled by procrastination. Your ears grow numb, not because I withdraw, but because postponement weakens your sensitivity. I do not want you to reach that place where obedience feels optional, for delayed obedience is disobedience. My will does not adjust to your timetable. The movements of my spirit cannot be scheduled around your convenience. When I move, heaven's breath moves with me, and those ready in that moment receive the fullness. Those who are not ready watch from the sidelines as blessings pass by. My spirit is stirring again. This is not arbitrary. It is the undeniable sign that the time has come. Not months from now, but now. You must decide whether to match your steps with mine or stand still while the gap between us widens. Do not believe the illusion of later. The enemy's greatest trick is not to whisper never, but not yet. It feels safe, even reasonable, but it is deadly. You soothe yourself by thinking your opportunity will wait for you. Yet real opportunities breathe within a living window. They do not linger forever. With every delay, that window draws closer to closing. I am merciful, but I am also a God of appointed times. My plan does not bend endlessly to postponement. Seasons move in the order I have set, and when the moment comes, it demands action. You already have received more confirmations than many before you. My voice has called you repeatedly. If that is not enough, no additional proof will be. The longer you delay, the wider the gap between your readiness and my timing. And eventually, that gap will become unbridgeable without great loss. Each moment carries a unique grace that cannot be reclaimed once it passes. This season has been created for you. It carries a grace like no other. If you forfeit it, the road will be heavier. Not because I abandon you, but because you will walk without the wind I am giving now. Delays are not harmless. They alter destinies. Blessings intended for your hands are given to those prepared to seize them. I do not want you to live in the pain of regret, but I will not drag you unwilling. My call requires your yes. The path ahead will never feel broader than it does now, and I have already provided what you need for this stage. Therefore, break your agreement with later. Give up the comfort of waiting. Understand that readiness is forged in action, not prolonged contemplation, and obedience will never feel safe because it demands trust in me rather than in your control. I am faithful. I always finish what I begin. If you say yes now, everything you feared to lose will pale before what I give. Do not cling to the thought that things will someday become easier. That day does not exist. Only now exists, and I have chosen this moment for you. This opportunity is not chance. It has been intricately prepared, designed for you alone, shaped across time through struggle, endurance, and unseen growth. But it is ready only for a season, not forever. If you delay again, you risk forfeiting not just opportunity, but meaning. Compliance may cost you comfort, but hesitation will rob you of purpose. My plan includes more than just you. It flows through others, through connections and alignments that cannot remain suspended. If you continue saying, tomorrow, tomorrow will consume your years. You will remain unchanged. Time once lost is gone. Every moment contains a divine grace, and this one is unmatched. The opportunity will not return in the same way. Choose now. Trust me. Step forward. I've already prepared favors in areas you haven't yet visited. I put people in positions to open doors that you couldn't open on your own. I've set everything up so that they coincide at the ideal time. However, these objects aren't supposed to sit around doing nothing. They're timed. They're doing something. Additionally, the layout will change to accommodate someone else who is prepared if you allow this window to close. Not because I'm more in love with them. However, no matter how much I would like for that person to be you, my work cannot wait for one person's approval. And I really hope it's you, because your name was engraved on this path when it was created. Despite having your own calling in mind, it stays unfulfilled if it is not embraced. You won't get this particular path back, even though I can create new ones, because this moment has a certain authority, a certain grace, and a special access that is exclusive to this season. I also want you to realize that it's not just about you. Your choice affects other people. Your resistance will either cause others to be delayed or blessed by your obedience. Additionally, some of those delays may put kids through hardships they weren't supposed to experience. That's why I'm speaking to you urgently, because this is about more than just your fate. It's about the domino effect that your yes will produce. I have called you to a very important task. It is not a choice. Its impact cannot be replaced. And while you stand motionless, the ripples I have prepared stay trapped in the motionless water, awaiting their release by the stone of your obedience. I'll find another stone, though. if you decide not to toss that one. The shore will still be affected by the ripples, but you won't experience the delight of being the one who brought them. Now listen to me. This isn't a random game. This holy assignment is just awaiting activation. You must be here right now for the activation, not next month, next year, or when things settle down, as those delays are merely delusions designed to divert your attention until the alignment changes and the moment is no longer yours to claim. And since there won't be another moment like this one, I don't want you to stand outside and watch someone else walk in the blessing that was supposed to be in your hands while promising yourself that you'll be ready the next time. And before the hinge turns, I'm calling on you to take a step. When it comes, you'll understand that the stillness on the other side doesn't mean I've stopped loving you. Rather, it means the moment has come, and I've moved on with the willing. In more conflicts than you can remember, I have served as your shield, putting myself between you and threats you were unaware were approaching, rerouting traps intended to snag you when you weren't looking, thwarting attacks before they reached your door, and removing loads from your shoulders before their weight crushed you. I moved to defend you out of love for you, not because you begged me to. I sensed what was coming, because I've always been one step ahead of the enemy's plans to harm you, making sure they fall apart before they have a chance to develop. However, this protection should not be taken lightly. My covering doesn't act as a passive shield that follows you around. For those who follow me, it is their haven. Even though my kindness is far-reaching, there is a distinction between the risk of standing just outside of my will and the security of living inside it. The blows fall more forcefully, and the traps are easier to hide because the storms are unfiltered outside. The enemy is aware of this. If he is unable to destroy you while you are within my protection, he will try to entice you out from under it. That edge draws closer with each pause, delay, and minor concession. Because I understand how subtle the draw has been, I am warning you now. He has been operating covertly, not with a clear assault, but with diversions, slight changes in concentration, and weights intended to weaken you until you are too exhausted to defend yourself. But this fatigue is more than merely life's burden. It is the strain of a conflict you haven't fully acknowledged. And I'm telling you, stepping forward into the place I've been pushing you toward is the best approach to relieve that strain, rather than withdrawing into passivity. Because you are completely protected by me inside that location, where the enemy's plans fall apart before they even get close to you, where the storms can no longer hurt you. However, you remain vulnerable on a threshold not intended to be a place of residence if you continue to vacillate. Additionally, you become more exposed the longer you remain there. The protection linked to your next season is in the location I have called you to, not the place you are clinging to. Even though I can still protect you here, the shield that awaits you in the realm beyond is different. Every stage of your path has a certain grace, but that grace wanes as you remain past its expiration date. You become vulnerable to blows you weren't supposed to take. I don't say this to scare you, but rather to make you aware of the situation you find yourself in, because too often you take my protection for granted. My hand, however, was firmly on those who moved when I said, move, and stayed when I said, stay, even in the ancient days. Those who disregarded my advice ended up outside the fire, outside the cloud pillar, and outside the protection of my covering. And since I know what is ahead, I do not want that for you. Further along this road, I see hidden traps meant to harm you. I have already outlined the path that avoids them completely, but it requires that you now enter the protection of obedience. Before those traps are set, you will take wounds that were never intended for you. You may even survive them on your own, but you'll be walking wounded, not whole. And rather than see you limping along in pain because you refuse to walk into the covering I created, I want to see you unharmed, unshaken, carrying the calm that comes from knowing you are exactly where I've placed you. Therefore, take my word for it. Now is not the time to remain hesitant. Now is the moment to fully enter the secure haven I've called you to. For the time being, I will continue to guard you, but I will not force you to remain. Since I granted you the gift of choice, you may either stay inside my protection or venture outside, into a realm where your own strength will be tested without my shield. The adversary has been waiting for you to move further and further from my shelter so he can easily reach you. Patiently he lurks, studying you, waiting for the moment you let your guard down. Though my presence has been a barrier between you and his ambitions, that barrier is tied to your obedience, not just your claim of belonging to me. Belonging without abiding is fragile, easily shattered by fatigue, fear, and temptation. I say this not to condemn you, but so you may realize that your safest position is never where you feel comfortable. It is where I have called you. Comfort, if misplaced, can become a counterfeit refuge, a place that feels safe, but is not. There, unexpected blows strike while deceiving you into thinking you are shielded. And lately, you have felt unease rising within you. That is not accidental. My spirit stirs to warn you, this current shield is expiring. I have prepared a shield for this season, but it is moving because I am moving. If you remain motionless, you'll fight battles you were never meant to fight and carry weights you were never meant to bear. You'll also wonder why my hand feels distant, but it is not I who drifted. I already advanced, preparing the ground where your next covering lies. That is why I call you so urgently now, because I see how near the enemy lurks, ready to strike the moment you linger. The first assaults won't be obvious. They'll appear as distractions, strained relationships, false opportunities, things that sap your energy until you're too entangled to move. Everything will be arranged to draw you farther from the haven I've set up. That's why you must move now. If you step into that next level of obedience, the enemy will not be able to touch you. His strategies will collapse before they begin. You'll walk in the strength of knowing I defend you. But as long as you cling to where you are, I cannot grant you the full covering that is meant for the next place. I will not bless disobedience. I will not shield rebellion. I love you too much to let you believe you can ignore my voice without consequence. Know this: protection is not a passive blanket that follows you wherever you choose to roam. It is the armor of the surrendered, located where I place it, not where you demand it. Do not exchange long-term security for short-term comfort. Ease leads to loss, but compliance leads to preservation, and the door is open now before you. The enemy who has been watching for your vulnerable moment is not idle. He is preparing to launch attacks the moment you leave my covering. His goal is not simply to wound you, but to drain you, to distract you from your true calling, to make you doubt whether I ever spoke to you at all. That is why my voice presses you so firmly. Stay under my authority. Beyond it, the land is filled with snares hidden beneath the surface, waiting for your careless steps. How many times have I already cleared pitfalls you never saw? Yet I will not continue to guard a place I have commanded you to leave, for that would teach you disobedience carries no risk. That is not the truth of my kingdom. My instruction is bound to my protection. The moment you choose your way over mine, you step into enemy ground. There you'll fight battles that aren't yours, wear yourself down, and even lose hope in your prayers. I don't want you to waste years recovering from wounds that could have been prevented. This call is not to deprive you. It is to shield you from wars meant for another, traps that are already dismantled in the place I am sending you. Your greatest bravery in this season is not swinging a sword, but stepping beneath the fortress wall of my command. The edge of that wall is near now. Outside, the enemy waits, not for your permission, but for your hesitation. If you linger, he will strike at the things you hold most dear. That fight will cost you more than necessary, though I will not abandon you. That is why I speak with urgency. This is not only an invitation to peace, but an escape from a trap forming beneath your feet. One I have already destroyed in the place I lead you. Trust me when I say, your obedience today shields you from tomorrow's storms. What looks risky is, in truth, the safest place you could be. Stand where I appoint you, and you will walk untouchable. Arrows will miss, snares will break, and the enemy will be forced to watch powerless as you move forward unhindered. I have not called you just to survive, scraping by under ceaseless opposition. I have called you to rise in strength, in courage, in unshakable trust, to bring light into places long bound by darkness. Your mission was never to be buried under weariness or shades of fear. It was written to shine with the fullness of obedience, glory, and life. And you will discover that the weight you have been experiencing was not intended to last after you completely align yourself with what I am requesting. It was the conflict between one's current location and one's intended destination. And the instant you decide to move, that tension will subside. Because I have given you wisdom and gifts that are not arbitrary. They are purposefully positioned in your life to help you and others achieve breakthroughs. And those tools are useless if you don't move. You still have the potential I instilled in you, and you still haven't made the difference you were supposed to. However, the enemy whispers that your task is not urgent each time you put it off, that nothing changes because of you, that there is no weight to your speech. However, those are lies meant to keep you motionless, since he is aware that the instant you start obeying, your actions will cause far more disruptions to his plans than you can see. You must realize that your calling is not a personal concern, which is why I am telling you this. It is associated with individuals and locations that are anticipating what I have placed within you. Additionally, kids will sense your absence if you hold back, because certain things won't change until you enter the space I've set up for you. Words that will only come out of your mouth, atmospheres that will only alter because you were willing to bring my presence into them, and prayers that can only be prayed through your trust. The enemy has been making a lot of effort to persuade you to keep quiet, to keep little, and to think that your part can wait because of this. However, waiting won't make things stay the same. If you wait, someone else will be able to take the space intended for your feet. You will miss the delight of being a part of what I created for you, even though my intentions will still be fulfilled. The fulfillment that comes from witnessing others' chains broken and doors opened by your obedience. And I wish you could experience that happiness and walk with the confidence that you are doing what you were meant to do. because even the difficulties you encounter take on a different significance while you are there. Instead of becoming barriers to keep you from moving forward, they become chances for my glory to be shown through you. However, you can't stop waiting for the right moment in order to get there. Now is the time to take action, because it's not about when you feel best prepared. It's around the time I decided the alignment was set, and it is now. The stage is ready. Everything is in its proper place. Your step is all that remains. You'll notice how fast I move to meet you once you accept it. And that obedience, how the opportunities, contacts, and resources you previously believed were unattainable start to come your way, because you stepped into the tide of my will, not because you made them. Additionally, there is no stagnation in that current. No motion is wasted. Only progress is being made in the direction of what I promised you. And instead of seeing it from the shore and promising yourself that you will join in later, I want you to live in that flow. Since later has taken too many people's destinies, if you are willing to trust me now, I won't let it steal yours. You hesitate every time you want to enter what I have shown you. The enemy tries to spread distractions that appear innocuous at first, but are intended to develop into obstacles if ignored, sowing the seeds of confusion in your way, because he knows that you will spend more time asking questions than moving forward if he can obscure your judgment. And the time spent asking questions without doing anything else provides the ideal environment for doubt to grow. When doubt reaches adulthood, it will become so heavy that it will seem hard to perform even the slightest act of obedience. However, I haven't called you to live with uncertainty. I have given you a spirit that is sensitive to the direction of my hand, a heart that can hear my voice, and a mind that can identify my leading. However, these need to be protected, because the enemy's tactic is not necessarily to attack you head-on, but to gradually weaken you until you lose faith in the same sense of direction I gave you. I have been pressing you to act now while your heart is still receptive to my stirring because of this. Because the longer you wait, the more chances he has to insinuate falsehoods into your mind, telling you that what I put in front of you is too dangerous, too far away, or too unsure to try. And he will employ all means at his disposal to persuade you to accept something less than what I had in mind. He will even offer you alternatives that appear simpler or more feasible, but are really distractions designed to keep you away from the precise location where your obedience will have the biggest effect. Furthermore, I do not want you to exchange the eternal for the transient, the divinely appointed for the merely practical, because the former will always be more powerful than the latter. Additionally, you can experience temporary respite if you decide to take the convenient route. However, you will also experience the silent pain of knowing that you fell short of the completeness I provided. And unless you realign with the route I set, that pain will persist. However, entering that path today is far simpler than retracing your steps after taking detours, because every diversion wastes time, energy, and concentration that could have been put toward creating what I have planned for you. And I'm talking to you right now in order to avoid wasting what you have. You're closer than you think, and if you hesitate, the adversary will be able to fill the places you were supposed to be in with voices that won't proclaim my truth, costing you the opportunity. And then something other than my spirit will form the same atmosphere you were supposed to change. However, those areas will be brimming with life, light, and hope if you enter them now. And just because you arrived where I instructed you to, bearing the authority I have given you, the enemy's strongholds that have been reinforced will start to fall apart. Furthermore, the transformation won't be brought about by your strength. Your obedience will allow my power to flow. Because the ground reacts, doors open, hearts soften, and chains fall naturally when you link yourself with me. But while you continue to debate the hazards, none of it will occur. Because there is no risk in going forward. Staying put until the window shuts and someone else takes the land you were supposed to claim is risky. Furthermore, I say this not to incite dread, but to make you aware that the gap between my instructions and your compliance is where the enemy operates most successfully. Now close that gap. Keep his lies to himself. Watch how I swiftly eliminate every barrier that has been put in your way as you move forward before the seeds he is attempting to sow in your path take root. I have already prepared what I have reserved for you. However, it is not made available to others who merely appreciate it from afar. When I speak, it is given to those who are prepared to take action. My blessings aren't presented as decorations to be put on display in a showcase. They are assignments, resources, and instruments designed to further my kingdom. Furthermore, I will not put such items in a position where they will remain idle and collect dust, while the task for which I meant them is left undone. Because I pour out my sustenance with intention. Additionally, I seek out souls that are prepared to bear the burden of what I offer. Hearts that will react right away, not when convenience comes back or when things seem right, but right when I give the order. And I've been seeing your preparedness by the speed at which you act when faith is needed, not by the volume of your religious discourse. Because talking about trust and actually putting it into practice are two different things. And I'm calling on you right now to demonstrate your words with deeds, because this season's blessing isn't a widespread outpouring. It is a certain release that is linked to the exact obedience that I am requesting from you. And even though I will always love you, I have deadlines for my assignments. Additionally, the favor intended for this one won't be permanently withheld, because the impact must be made and the work must be done. If you do not take the initiative, it will pass to someone who is in a position to do it, not as a punishment. And it must continue to be given to the lives associated with this blessing. Furthermore, I want you to realize that your delay not only delays your own raise, but also has an impact on those who should be impacted by what I am providing. Because you are rarely the only one who receives my benefits. And when they flow forth, they are supposed to multiply by passing through you to other people. And that flow is defiled when you hold back. Additionally, the stream that ought to be traveling far stays restricted and loses speed. However, that stream is released when you answer yes the instant I ask, carrying my presence, my supply, and my breakthrough into areas you could never reach on your own. I assure you that reluctance is not neutral for this reason. What I am attempting to discharge via you is met with resistance, a barrier and a stopper. Furthermore, I won't fill a vessel with fresh oil if it won't empty. My blessings are intended to be used for activity, and because I have aligned doors that will swing open upon your arrival, I am summoning you to that movement right now. I have placed those whose hearts are prepared to receive from you as soon as you show there. Opportunities that I have created will only become available after you are in position. All of this is waiting for you, not for me to move. Because I've already made the necessary preparations. The scene is already set by me. The clause has already been incorporated into your article. However, the key that unlocks the lock is your step, and the treasure inside stays sealed until that key is turned. I will not provide what is sacred to someone who is reluctant to utilize it as intended, not because I want to keep it from you. I'm urging you now because of this. Be the one to react right away. Be the one with hands that are ready to receive and then let go. Because the blessing I am bringing is abundant and will not only satisfy your needs, but also those of many others. However, it is only made available to those who are prepared, eager, and do not allow time or fear to control their obedience. And before the release moves to another vessel, I'm calling on you to be counted among them right now. Your willingness to take action affects lives, people whose paths will change as a result of the choice you make right now, people you may never even know by name, because I have braided their breakthrough into your obedience. Additionally, as you wait, the threads that are supposed to link their deliverance to your actions stay loose, causing them to wait for a change that won't occur until you take action. I called you for a reason, even if I can get someone else to do the work, because there is a key to opening their hearts that no one else can find in your voice, your narrative, and the unique way I have formed you. Furthermore, the key will not be able to open the lock for which it was designed if you stay motionless, and they will keep fighting the battle I wanted you to help put an end to. And I say this to help you see that obedience is never all about you, not to make you feel guilty. It's about the domino effect it creates, about the reverberations that will last long after your current task is finished, about the invisible ties that extend well beyond your reach. Because I don't call you alone. I call you to be a part of a larger fabric in which each act of faith fortifies the whole. If you believe in me as your Heavenly Father, please like this video and leave a sincere Amen in the comments. If you want to stay in touch with me, subscribe to this channel.